Day 533 of the Ukrainian War Map, also known as the Russo-Ukrainian War. Juzzy here, and today is another update as I take a simplified and down-to-earth approach to some of the most important happenings on the ground in Ukraine. So starting off, we'll take a quick look at those Russian losses, as currently Russia is sitting on more than 252,000 military personnel losses, adding another 580 in the past 24 hours. Then as for hardware, 16 tanks, 13 APVs, and 15 artillery. So we're looking at quite the double-digit losses today for some of the mainstays of the Russian army, plus one helicopter as well. Then we'll head back to the map into Russia today, as just outside of a day ago now, a massive explosion happened in Sergiev Posad, which is just northwest of Moscow city itself, and the location of which was an optics and mechanical plant that specializes in military components, it's just monstrously large, that explosion. And not only that, but the explosion itself turned out to be flinging artillery shells, I can't help but laugh, at quite some distance away as well. So combine that with the sheer size of this explosion, it supports the likelihood that this plant also doubled as an ammo dump and or a munitions production plant as well. And the Russian response to this incident? You guessed it, smoking Sergei. Well, sort of, as the Russian authorities said, quote unquote, it was due to a workflow violation, which of course is actually contrary to some reports that suggest of a possible drone strike, which I wouldn't be surprised about given the amount of drones going Moscow's way from Ukraine in recent days alone. Then, moving down the map, another explosion, also in Russia, this time at Stavropol Krai, so right there. And again, also at another military facility as well. And what did the Russian authorities say this time? Well, they said, quote, possible cause of the spontaneous combustion was air temperature. And somehow I also doubt that one as well, especially given that we can see a marked increase in the number of explosions of this magnitude in Russia since 2022. In fact, we don't even have the full figures for 2023 yet, but it is projected to be double of 22, as you can see right there on the graph. Then momentarily, we'll move across to Belarus, as the Belarusian armed forces conducted large-scale drills close to real-world conditions, or real war conditions, at the western border of the country, which is very likely to be muscle flexing or genuine defense concerns, as they're masquerading themselves as military strength. Then we'll head back into the Ukrainian map today, as Ukrainian forces in successful counterattack operations have entered the town of Urizain. So I'll zoom in right there for that one, even a bit further, and perhaps it's actually better pronounced as Urajaina. So the Ukrainian forces have entered the town from the north and the west, reaching the center in a recent push, although not updated on this map here yet. In fact, it's fully contested really, or it should be, as shown on this map, as not shown. So we should expect some updates on that one quite soon. Then heading across to the Orikhiv axis, so another Russian Ka-52 Alligator attack helicopter was shot down, and this time it was near to Robotian. So there we go. And likely hit by the recently received British Supercat high mobility vehicles, which carry the ASRAAM missiles, those of which have a range of about 25 kilometers or about 15 miles. And this is extremely important and helpful because a short while ago, Russian Ka-52 helicopters were starting to become equipped with these 12-kilometer range tank-busting munitions, causing some real strategic concerns for the AFU. So Britain snuck in these cheeky little devils with no announcement about a month or two ago. We're still not even exactly sure. Thus, notably assisting to counteract the Ka-52 attack helicopters' anti-tank missile threats. So that's just brilliant. Not that Russia will stop over-reporting Ukrainian tank losses on the field anyway, as recently, Russian officer Colonel Shevelov described on Telegram how it is encouraged to fabricate reports about destroyed Ukrainian equipment by filming strikes on different days using various weapons and equipment, hitting already destroyed targets, be they Ukrainian or Russian, and hitting even decoys to satisfy reporting requirements. And we've already been able to discern this Russian practice, if you will, from multiple other reports over time, causing top-level Russian generals to, well, constantly be misrepresenting Ukrainian heavy armor losses on the front lines, and probably believe in it too. Then we'll head over on the map to Nikopol, which is nearby, but technically in the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, so which is no stranger to weekly shelling, if not daily. And most of the time, as you can see, it's not even a military target, but rather homes that were left abandoned long ago. Then, in all fairness, on the map, we move to Rivne today, the Rivne Oblast in Ukraine, as a massive drone attack struck a Ukrainian oil depot far in the west. And here you see the governor of the oblast taking to Telegram to inform of the hit. Although oil depot hits like these occur extremely infrequently, with the last one that I can remember being perhaps months ago. Meanwhile, for Russian oil dumps struck by Ukraine, well, it's sometimes daily. In fact, here's an example just today. In the Russian-occupied Crimean Peninsula. So, Ukrainian drones destroyed a fuel base early this morning, which is hard to see with this dark, grainy footage taken from a distance, so I'll be sure to attempt to zoom in as best as I can with that in post-production. It looks like someone woke up pretty much in the middle of the night and got a glimpse of some of the explosions there. Then moving across to some news for today, we'll start off with a quick hardware update. So Germany has handed over 2 Patriot launchers to Ukraine in their latest aid package. This brings the total of 4 being received from Germany and 8 all up, including 2 from the States and 2 from Norway. And bringing in all of the air defenses from various nations is perhaps the top defensive priority for Ukraine as they look to protect their airspace from salvos of missiles that Russia sends Ukraine's way almost every day. Or when they're running low on missiles, it's usually the Shahed drones. Then in some other news, Russia's defense minister, Shoigu, said that Poland has become the main tool of Washington's anti-Russian policy, and that Poland wants to annex Western Ukraine, which again is this new and illogical narrative that Putin recently started pushing. And then Shoigu also expressed his concerns about the build-up of the Polish army. But here's the thing there. The Polish army is one of the most capable in Europe and has been armed to the teeth for some time because they do not want to be occupied by Russia again. That is for darn certain. Then in some other news, over the last week, the Russian authorities have likely increased their ongoing efforts to disrupt Russian citizens' access to VPNs. Reports suggest many of the most popular VPNs have now become unusable in some regions of Russia. You see, Russia really needs to lock down and control their information space internally, now more than ever. Because Russia can't just go around invading other countries, then start losing the popular support of its citizens because those citizens, through VPNs, which allow users to access objective international news sources, have them realize what's really going on. As Putin really wants to keep a lid on any dissenting viewpoints within his own country. Then, speaking of VPNs, a word from today's sponsor. No, I'm just joking. I really don't want to get into any of that. I'll avoid it as best I can. Then, in another Russian military mobilization blunder segment of sorts, as these guys were actually duped volunteers to go to the front lines in Ukraine. So in this video, they state they're from the Russian Orenburg Oblast. Their average age is 45 plus. They can't afford to pay their bills because they're not getting the pay that they were promised on sign-up. Wow, big surprises there. And of course, they do think this video appeal will change their circumstances, but obviously, with everything that you've seen on this channel, it will have no effect. And this is just one example of how Russia cannot afford this war. So in these instances, it decides on this brilliant short-term strategy to not pay their soldiers. And long-term, this will just turn their servicemen into disgruntled employees, effectively. And those situations typically have a tendency to backfire long-term. Then moving across to a couple of funnies to round it all off with today, guys. So here we have a quick video of the exceptional might of the Belarusian army riding along with towed artillery, but whoops, the artillery piece doesn't want any part of their actions. Then as for a final funny to round it off with, so this one's from Russian state media TV once again, talking about the ongoing war for a year and a half now, and now being regrouped and well entrenched. Then, as Olga Skaibayeva continues, although we had a different plan. Really, you don't say. And what was that original plan? Oh, that's right. To successfully invade and occupy Ukraine within 3 days. And it must be really difficult to be a presenter on one of these Russian state media TV shows that has to, time and time again, have to just really update their narratives. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment, subscribe, hit the like button, and I do hope to see all of you guys there in the next one. Brilliant. Cheers.